New patients are the lifeblood of your practice. Control the flow of new patients, master your retention, and the sky's the limit. But all the data around marketing can be absolutely daunting. And so in this video, I'm going to break it down for you into the simple metrics that if you can master, it will actually set your practice free. So the first step in understanding your marketing data is knowing the product of your marketing. We define it by bringing in leads that begin to know you, like you, and trust you. They want your patient transformation. And so we measure that by a KPI. A KPI is a key performance indicator that becomes the metric that measures the health of the entire system. And that metric is simply scheduled new patients. That's what the marketing system delivers to the practice. We pair that with a really important metric that we call an accelerator. An accelerator is one of those metrics that if we improve, we can accelerate the outcome of the scheduled new patients, and that's why we pair it with the new patient acquisition cost. This is how much does it cost to acquire a new patient? That number is simply taken by the marketing dollars divided by the number of completed new patients in the practice to give us your average new patient acquisition cost. These are the two numbers that if you can watch and track, oh my gosh, just that gives you a tremendous amount of control and ability to have a conversation with whoever is in charge of delivering your scheduled new patients. That might be you, that might be a team member, that might be an agency that you're working with. But we at least have to lay the groundwork of that common language, the common expectation of what your marketing is going to produce. And when we have that common expectation of a goal, what is the goal of the KPI? What is the goal of the new patient acquisition cost? Now that gives us a foundation to begin looking at other marketing data as we layer that into the equation. Now, before I dive into more data around marketing, are you ready to become a data-driven doc? Because if you are, I have an amazing free guide that helps your team understand the psychology between two-way texting with your patients and the practice. Just comment below two-way texting, and we will get you that guide ASAP. But for faster delivery, just DM me at Cory, and I will make sure you get that immediately. The next most important metric in your marketing is understanding what we call the ACV. This is the average case value of a patient coming into your practice. This is what we expect a patient to end up spending in the practice as they go through your treatment plans and even into wellness care. That ACV is such an important number because it determines how much we can spend on the new patient acquisition cost. And Dan Kennedy, the godfather of direct marketing, has this quote that he always says, which is, whoever can spend the most to acquire a new patient wins. Well, when you look at your community, who is acquiring the most new patients, especially your next new patient? Like, I want you to get in the mindset of who has my next new patient? Well, a lot of that has to do with how valuable are those patients, because we know that the more complex the condition that a patient is suffering with, the more valuable they are because they're going to have to invest more into their health to get well. So that value of that new patient, you need to know that number. And there's a relatively simple equation that you can use to get close to that. It's the best equation that we have without our automated software to calculate it for you. And so you're going to take your average monthly collections divided by the number of average starts. Now, a start is defined as a patient who has now received a care plan and made the financial and time agreements to go through that care plan. That's a start. They're moving forward. It doesn't matter if it's 2 visits or 50 visits, that's a start. And so we're dividing those into your average monthly collections, and that gives us an approximate value of the average new patient coming into your practice. Now that we have the relationship between what you're spending to acquire the new patient and what those patients are worth, we can now start layering in the marketing data around that to understand how to go get more of them. Now, if you're a data geek like me and love this kind of content, don't forget to like this channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single great episode of the Data-Driven Practice. Now, step number 3 is such an important part of your marketing framework as we monitor the data around that, because we have to have something to track. We can't just have data generated without an offer to generate data. So in your marketing system, we need an offer. And an offer is what's attractive to a patient to choose you over the next competitor in your community. That offer needs to speak to them. It needs to solve their specific condition. They want to choose you. They want to see if you have the system to reverse their condition. And if you do, then they'll move forward with you. And that offer is the step. We compare it to sample marketing. Have you ever been to Costco on a Saturday? That's where you go in and they have all the samples set up around the store. I mean, it's my kids' favorite outing on a Saturday. They're circling sometimes twice around to those sample stations. But why do those companies pay so much to have their products sampled at Costco? Well, it's because of the numbers. They have the data that shows the ROI, the return on investment, that if they sample their product, their sales go up. That's what we call sample marketing, because if we taste it, we like it, and we have the product right there, we buy, we take it home with us. And that's what we want patients to be able to do with you. We want them to sample your patient transformation. We want to begin to build a relationship with this patient where they trust you with their healthcare. They trust you to refer you to their family and friends. So an offer does that, and it's an offer that creates a sample opportunity to experience your practice. Now, that leads us to the most important part of the step if you've been layering these into your practice, into your marketing system, which is now traffic. Now that we have a measurement system, we actually have an offer that we're going to be tracking, we have value in a patient coming into the practice, we now just need eyeballs on that offer. And so we talk about traffic. And in Russell Brunson's book, Traffic Secrets, which is phenomenal, he breaks traffic down into two categories: traffic that you own, traffic that you buy. Remember that traffic that you own is your patient base. It's anybody that's following you on your social media. That's why it's so important to build that following, to have an email marketing list segmented into current patients, patients going inactive, and then those that have gone inactive. How do we communicate with those patients, and how do we use the traffic that we own to present our offers, especially to not just them, but their social communities? We want them to take your offer that maybe isn't a great fit for them today, but maybe they have a family member or a neighbor or a coworker that they could pass the offer on to. That's traffic you own, and you need to be regularly putting that out there. Traffic that you buy is where a lot of us are paying for paid traffic, because when we pay for that, it increases impressions. Impressions is when we have attention, like somebody sees your offer. So between traffic you own and traffic you're buying, we're trying to increase impressions. The beautiful thing about Blue IQ is that it automatically measures that for you on your Facebook channels. It can measure that for you on your websites. It's so powerful to see, are we even creating awareness in our community by measuring impressions? The next step that you should be measuring in your marketing data is engagements. And engagement is where not only did they see it, they now actually stopped and paid attention to it. We have automated data that measures the number of engagements, and we want to look at the ratio, because impressions to engagements ratio tells us if our content is relevant to our community that we're putting our impressions out to. We want them to engage, we want them to read, we want them to watch, we want them to know what your offer is. The next metric that we actually track is then your click-through. The click-through is where they've actually engaged and they've taken the call to action. Now that might be to go to a landing page, that might be to download a guide, that might be an exchange for an email address. So they now are on your email marketing list, which is now moving from traffic you buy to traffic you own, which we want to increase that as much as possible. That then leads to the last metric that we're going to talk about today, which is actually conversion. Conversion from the click-through to the call to action. They did download that and scheduled an appointment. If the ultimate goal is to bring that patient into a booked appointment, now that can be booked for a webinar, that can be booked for a workshop, that can be booked for a new patient appointment in your practice, that's a conversion. That's what we want the marketing system to produce. And so as we measure each step of this process, You understand the product of the system, the KPI that measures it of scheduled new patients. You're watching your new patient acquisition costs, the accelerator, and you're really making sure your content, you're calling out those high value cases. You now have a data tracking system that's going to help you truly understand the health of your marketing system and where you need to put more attention, what you need to improve in that system so you can dominate your market, because that's what we do as data-driven docs, is we dominate our markets. And if you're ready to become a data-driven doc and dominate your market, come join our community of data-driven docs at our free Facebook group, The Data-Driven Practice. We'll put the link below. Come find us. It's free. It's going to change your life. It'll help you understand your marketing data and every other system in your practice. I will see you on the inside.